This is MediaBistro.com's Media Beat. We're here with Kelly Cutrone, owner of fashion PR agency People's Revolution. And we're going to talk now about some of the trends in the PR business, one that you've been in for quite a while. And we received this tip from someone from an agency, KMR Communications, basically offering bloggers a finder's fee if they send clients to the agency. And the founder... Is that a PR company? It's a PR company. Oh. It is. Catherine Rothman, the CEO, said, quite honestly, these bloggers and web editors don't make a heck of a lot of money. It's an attractive offer for them and a win-win situation for both parties. I certainly don't see it as a bribe in any sense of the word.
She's paying somebody
What's your take on this?
I mean, I don't think it's like the greatest message for a PR company to be like, yo, you're a 22-year-old blogger in Little Rock, but if your dad has a shirt company, like, I might be able to make money off you. I mean, it seems like it's a very wide net. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, if that's what she wants to do, is give a kickback for somebody who's driving business, and she wants to go that wide with the net, it sounds like you'd probably have to go through a lot of, like, not potentially great clients to get to a couple. Would I offer bloggers? Yeah. No. Okay. No, I mean, but I mean, you know, I mean, I've certainly been offered clients that came through a recommendation and paid people for those recommendations. I haven't advertised that that's what I wanted to do, but I've had friends that work outside the industry and are like, so-and-so, I want to set up a meeting for you with them. They have $10,000 or $20,000 a month. I think they'd be a great client, and I will say, if I sign them, I'll give you 10% of that retainer per month every time after they pay.
Fair enough. I want to ask you about this year's Fashion Week for the fall. Who are you repping? How many shows are you doing this time around?
I'm doing 8, 6 here and 2 in Europe. We only represent people that are retainered clients, so we're doing the usual Mar Hoffman. We're bringing Jeremy Scott to New York, which I'm excited about. Tony and David Delphine, some Spanish designers, and then we just signed a new client on Friday who I don't know about yet, so I can't say. And then we're doing Henry Holland in London, and I'm producing Whitney Port's first show.
Interesting.
And in London, her show in London.
The media is still talking about last Fashion Week when you had Ashley Dupre.
That wasn't
Eliot
last Fashion Week. That was a year ago. Ashley Dupre.
That was a year ago. They're still talking about it.
That's how boring New York is.
They're still talking about it. So
how boring and uninteresting everybody else in New York City is. That there is nothing else to talk about. Now, the biggest news for a year is that I knew somebody who had sex for money. Ooh, and went to a fashion show and crashed the front row, and then I was fired.
The fashion world seems to be begrudgingly opening up to new media, social media. You're seeing bloggers, getting front row now, next to Vogue. What's your take on that? Are you advising clients to dive in? Are you sort of being cautious with that?
You can't control anything anymore, and I think this whole thing about strategy is really, really important because you have to know how things work, and that's what makes PR relevant today. You have a writer, let's say, who writes for a reputable magazine, a Hachette or a Condé Nast publication, Fairchild, whatever. And they're there under one name, but they also have their own little blog called IHateFashion.com. And so when they see you, they're like, oh, I just love the green leggings for spring. It was so amazing. Meanwhile, off their BlackBerry, they're like, there was nothing more atrocious than the green leggings that were sent. So these designers, after they finish their show, for which they spend anywhere from $40,000 to $2 million for their 13 minutes of time, and also all they are is free content providers. I mean, it's all out of control. And so what you have to tell your clients is, listen, I can't control what anybody writes about you anymore. All I can control is what your message is about, where we want to take it, and you have to understand that the message is now instantaneous.
So tell us about a time when someone really did malign one of your clients. When you get bad press happens. So what do you do? Tell us about a time where you had to make that call or email, or what your strategy was. Give us one example.
So many times.
So give us an interesting example.
I mean, I don't even know. Like, this has happened so many times. I mean, the usual thing is like we 86 them, and then the agency locks down, and the doors all close, and we follow their career, and we purposely give stories to their competitors, and it just depends. I mean, now you can't really cry about it. I mean, before it used to be, the first time that happened with a blogger, there was a guy who worked for Chicago Magazine, and I'm not trying to be PC, I can't remember his name. It was like Derek somebody, and I figured out, it was after a Costello Tagliapietro show, that he was blogging under another name. And this was the first time that I had ever been called out by a client for letting somebody into a show that I couldn't explain who the person was. And there was no way to trace back who this person was until we realized it was this editor from Chicago Social Magazine, I think it was, or Chicago Magazine. And when we found out that he was the writer who was there, but he was blogging under this other name and under this other thing, then, I mean, we ultimately went for his dismissal, for him to be terminated to prevent a lawsuit, which he was terminated. No, that just seems like so outdated.
MediaBistro.com's Media Beat with Kelly Cutrone, owner of fashion PR agency People's Revolution. Stay tuned.